And here we go.
Unleash the power. Unleash the power.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Ruckus Room. Tonight I'm here with Alan, and we're going to talk about some local news in the area and
Ruckus Room Local Edition.
the local edition. I know, right? Last week, I don't know if you saw, Alan, there was a breaking story I actually talked about a little bit on my page. It got thousands of views, and it went kind of viral real quick because of the nature of this. It's a heartbreaking and infuriating story that I guess we'll dive deep into becoming like a cultural, like a society thing, I think is a bigger issue with this whole problem. But there was a 20-year-old named Anna Domingolo who claims she didn't know she was pregnant. Texts have transpired and come out now to show she knew she was pregnant. She went into labor at 3 a.m. in the morning, and she thought she was just having cramps from what she told the original sheriffs on the original report. She ended up delivering a newborn baby, 3-pound, 6-ounce little girl, into the toilet. She then left the baby in the toilet. It was crying when it went into the toilet. Let the baby die in the toilet as she proceeded to clean up the mess from the delivery. She then, after the baby passed away, wrapped it up in a towel and a duffel bag and put it in her closet. She then went to school, the local college, which I don't know the irony of this, but she is studying forensic science. Then proceeded to go to a theatrical performance where she was at a play down in New Smyrna Beach. She came home around 10 p.m. and buried the baby in the backyard in a shallow grave. She then told somebody that was close to her what happened, and they notified the sheriff's department immediately, and that set off a wellness check to where the story unfolded. Yesterday, the sheriff's department came out and basically said also that she shows no remorse. She showed no more remorse that day. She is charged with manslaughter at this time, but that could change. And the preliminary report showed that the baby had a bump on his head or her head and died of drowning, which they feel now is because when the baby dropped into the toilet, hit her head on the toilet and passed away after she was left in the bowl. Alan, this story, you hear it throughout the country. You never think it's going to be in your city. It was heartbreaking to read the comments of all of the women in the area that try to have babies, struggle with infertility, can't have children, would have taken the baby. And I don't know if everyone knows about the safe haven law, but Fire Station 25 in Palm Coast has a box that they were gifted last year that you could leave a baby with no repercussions at a fire station, police station, hospital without any, the baby can stay safe and you're good. You can go on and do your business. And I guess it's with the rotting culture, I don't know, Alan, nowadays, that the symptoms with some of these women and what they do to newborn babies, I think it's got to be affecting everybody because, like I said, this rotting culture of thinking this is okay because, I mean, I had people come on my feed talking about abortion laws shouldn't be so strict in Florida. Well, Alan, abortion laws are up to 15 weeks. They have plenty of services in the area in Florida. They don't like long-term abortions, but there are different things that you can do to handle the situation a little better. She had the baby and killed the baby. Okay. That's a huge difference here. This is a straight up murder. It's not like she knew about this when the baby was in her stomach to be able to do something. So I don't know, Alan, this story hurts because the thing that pissed me off the most is the people asking the questions and the interviewers were more concerned about her mental state. And people keep saying her mental state was fine. How the hell can you kill a newborn and your mental state be fine? I'm struggling with this. I really am, Alan. Your thoughts on that?
Well, first off, let me say that Hold on a second. I'm gonna have to edit this part out. Unlock me. First off, let me just say that sadly, that lady just lives down the street from me, and it's hard to believe. Like you said, that something like this would actually happen in our city, but it happened pretty much in my neighborhood. I never met the girl before, never saw her before, but still. But let me tell you, I think if you look around, we have this culture that's been growing for quite a while where the fetus is just a clump of cells and is meaningless. And if you say that to enough people and you find some people that are actually impressionable enough to believe that, then the baby is nothing. It's just a parasite, some of them call
A
it.
medical experiment.
Yeah. So when this baby, I'm assuming here with no evidence, but I'm assuming when this baby was born, in her mind, it's just a parasite. It's just a thing. It's a nothing. However, to have delivered the baby, to hear the baby crying, and to let the baby drown in a toilet,
It's just pure evil.
it is evil. And the lady, I know she's facing different charges. I think she needs to face charges that are a long time. She needs to be out of society,
Yep.
in my opinion.
And then this is the other thing. The mom was there in the house this whole time. How the hell? I can't go anywhere without my daughter asking what's going on or knowing what my kids are doing. How do you have a baby in your bathroom and bury her in the backyard, hear the baby cries, put her in the closet, all of this stuff's going on, yet your mom doesn't realize what's happening? Or your mom doesn't say you might be gaining a few pounds, or you pregnant? Like, I'm wondering in the end of this, when the investigation's all done, what the mom's role in this is going to be, and where's the dad, and does he know, or is going to be enough DNA evidence to find out who the dad was? And if, just like I'm a firm believer, and I know we still have to wait for the evidence to come out, I feel she knew the whole time. I really did think she knew about it the whole time.
Well, obviously, I've never been pregnant. However, you have.
Yeah.
You feel the baby kick, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, things happen.
Yeah.
It's not like you could normally just
You don't
go
get
through
a period.
pregnancy
You feel
and
the baby kick. You have symptoms of knowing you're pregnant. So for her to say, but like I said, I think they're catching her in a bunch of lies. So they're waiting for forensics to come back and the digital stuff to go through text
Right.
messages and things like that. But as a mom, you're not going to hear your child having a baby in the bathroom?
Well,
Or at 10 o'clock at night, she's out in the backyard burying a baby. You're not going to ask what the hell's going on?
we don't have enough information on the mom to decide or to even comment on whether the mom had her faculties. We don't know anything about the mom. But
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, I know. And the lady, the daughter, is 20 years old. So fortunately for the mom, if the mom really didn't know anything that was going on, she won't be held responsible for anything, as you would if there was a minor.
Right.
But this is disgusting, as you said earlier, and it almost leaves me speechless. And few things do. Most people will attest to that. The shallow grave was what, 5 inches deep? I mean,
4 or 5 inches.
4 or 5 inches. Basically, she kicked the dirt aside with her. You could do that with your foot. You wouldn't even need a shovel, and just buried it shallow. And the reason people are buried 6 feet down is because it takes about 6 feet of dirt above you, so the animals, scavenger animals, won't detect you, a corpse, and dig it up. But 5 or 6 inches deep, it wouldn't take long before that body would have been dragged around the neighborhood.
Well, by the time she buried the baby at 10 o'clock at night, they were there by 4 in the morning. The sheriffs.
That's what saved it. Otherwise, that baby would have been dragged around the neighborhood by some type of wild animal.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
It is disgusting. So somebody commented on my feed. I have a bunch of comments, actually, but one of them saying that we need better sex education rooted in abstinence and accountability, church and community support for young women in crisis, because they don't have enough. And I'm wondering if they talked about the safe haven law at school and different things, if younger girls do get pregnant, or just anybody in general, instead of feeling like you're trapped, there is a way to be able to give this baby a chance, and letting somebody else adopt that baby or take care of that baby by having this, by having this law. And we have a dedicated box in Palm Coast at Fire Station 25.
But even with that at Fire Station 25, and I'm very happy that they have that, but you can bring the baby to any fire station.
Yeah.
You can bring the baby to any police station. You can, a fire station, police station. There's no issue, and they won't hold you responsible for anything. You can just deliver the baby and walk away. And
I thought that was
choosing-
interesting, rooting in abstinence, though. We don't talk about, I know
Well, abstinence is 100%.
they don't talk
safe.
about that in school, like
No.
practicing abstinence
They
and
hand out
states.
condoms and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, birth control, just everything,
And it's, I'm not saying, obviously kids are going to be kids. You should teach abstinence and have safe backups, but for when abstinence just isn't in the cards. But they need to teach about these drop-offs and the fact that you can give up the baby without any repercussion against you. It's legal. Don't just kill a baby, and then the way this baby died is horrendous.
It is.
It's
And I feel like we're in an uphill battle, though, because like you said, there's so much of the world that's pushing these babies as medical experiments.
yes.
And it's horrible. That's a gift from God. I think every baby is a blessing and a gift from God. And you guys, we need to start appreciating it and deal with it a little differently instead of saying it's a medical experiment. Like, there's obviously certain situations and circumstances if medically there's something wrong, or, we haven't really talked about this topic because it is so touchy, but there's so many things, with rape and all of that stuff, but there's ways to do it before 15 weeks. This stuff where you should be able to have a baby anytime between now and 9 months and do whatever you want with it after you have it, like Lincoln Selling. She's another one, a college student. She carried her baby 9 months. You could clearly see she was pregnant. She delivered the baby at home, put the baby in a bag, and left her in the college rooms. The friends could hear what was going on. She's another girl that's charged. I think it was in Alabama or something like that. But these cases are all over, and it's just insane
That's
to me.
because they have been
Brainwashed.
into
Yeah.
believing it's just a clump of worthless cells, a parasite. They have been taught that, and they have been indoctrinated into that, and sadly, they believe that, and this is where it has brought us.
But the thing is, she had the baby. It's no longer a clump of cells in your body. We're dealing with a living human being,
I agree
Yeah.
100%. It was now a baby, and the proper thing to do if you didn't want it would be to give it up. Don't kill it.
I literally had some white liberal Karen come on my feed and actually
here we go.
compare this to how animals in the wild bury their babies if they don't want their babies.
Guess what? We're not animals.
No, and I was shocked. This is what it's
No, we
like.
are animals, but
the
we're
fact that she
civilized,
commented
supposed
that on my feed, I was like, how disgusting. Like, what kind of world are we living in where people, like, pure evil is just like taking over? I don't even know how to describe it. I really don't.
No, you did. It's evil, and they're just evil. But I blame it more on the educators that are talking about being clumps of cells, and the media pushing all their little agendas, brainwashing these young people into believing all of this madness.
My whole thing is, how can you sit there and say she's mentally sound? Like, still to this day, like, everybody who asks, yes, she seems like she's mentally sound.
Obviously,
She just
not.
killed a baby, like,
in a toilet. Obviously
listened to
not.
the baby cry, and cleaned up while the baby was drowning actively. I don't think that that's a normal mentally correct. Like, I don't even know how to put it into terms, like, because that just, I don't know, Alan. Like, I'm shocked when everyone says she seems mentally fine.
Well, the only thing that I don't want to see happen is for her to be determined to be mentally ill and then get out of it for reasons of insanity. She knew what was going on. She wasn't stupid. She was in college. She was studying for forensic science, of all things. And so no mental
She made the
illness.
comment she wishes that baby would have hurried up and died sooner. She made the comment.
She made that comment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe she needs to.
I don't know. I think
It's
that
murder.
I think we should punish evil. And that baby girl deserved nothing but love and protection and a chance at life, and not be discarded like a piece of trash. And it still gives you goosebumps because it's in our area. Like like you said, down the road from your house.
Yeah.
That somebody's capable of something like this.
Yeah.
And
it's scary.
it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
They had a picture of the house
Yeah.
online,
It's all over the place.
and I recognize it.
Yeah.
I mean, I never saw the girl before, but I recognized the house. It's unbelievable.
Well, we'll keep you guys updated if anything comes out regarding that story. Like I said, they're waiting for some digital forensics to come back, and obviously the mom and dad, whatever their roles are, it's going to all play out eventually. So
Yeah.
we'll find out. But we're going to switch gears and talk about the toilets in Palm Coast, Alan.
Different toilet
Would you
discussion.
exactly a different toilet? Would you like to drink purified sewer water?
Okay, so here's the deal.
I love Palm Coast. You can't make this up.
It's not just Palm Coast.
No, I know.
See what's happening.
We're talking about local today, though. We're going to talk about Palm Coast in
this
general because this was
is
just
local.
brought up.
But what's happening in the world is there's the EPA and others are restricting the methods of, and I'm not defending what's going on. I'm going to tell you the background to it and why it came up. And that is the EPA has put such heavy restrictions on the discharge of non-potable water. Now sewage gets treated. Okay, the solids are removed and the liquid is treated, all with different types of bacteria, and it's all broken down and it becomes a form of water. It's non-potable, meaning you can't drink it. It hasn't been sterilized. It's been treated. At one point, we discharged into the intercoastal. I believe St. Augustine still discharges the non-potable water into the intercoastal. But the amount of water that's coming in because of the population is going beyond the capabilities of various wastewater treatment plants and of the ability to discharge it. So they came up with an idea, and that idea was to discharge it by pumping it back down. They're talking about pumping it below the aquifer. Well, there's going to be leaks. And so it would potentially get into the aquifer. And then they're saying, well, we treat the aquifer for potable water and sterilize it so there wouldn't be an issue. Unless, of course, you live on a well and you don't have access to the city water and everything's been polluted by them pumping sewage water down. I think they need to look into this a little closer, because if the reason is that they're running out of the ability to treat it and discharge it, then they need to halt the population growth so that we don't get it uncontrolled.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because Vice Mayor Teresa Pontieri was definitely against, this whole tapping the toilet for water thing. But for years, why are we not fixing the problem? These are the people that are on the committee that have voted to have more infrastructure, more people coming into here, more people coming into Palm Coast. We've had a problem with this water system for how many years, Alan? We've talked about this on the podcast.
It's been going on and on for years.
And if the council really cared about fixing it, why not push for harder conservation? Why not fix the leaks? Why not really fix the infrastructure instead of upgrading it and waiting for this to happen?
And all of those are questions that I can't answer, because when I was crazy enough to run for office, these were issues I was discussing 5 years ago, and it just got pushed under the carpet so that we just kept going on as usual until now. The problems are arising.
Well, her in quotes, if we're so desperate to do this, there's a bigger problem. We've been saying this for years. Exactly. Why I'm like, I don't understand that, because we know about the problems. We've known about them for years. This is nothing new. And she's voted to have all these infrastructures and different things come in, which is making it worse. We're putting all of these people on top of pretty much a strained system already. How is that ever going to get better? Common sense. 2026, we're on a worldwide tour.
I told you common sense doesn't exist.
So yeah, I wanted to see, like, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good for Palm Coast.
Well, I believe they voted it down.
They did vote it down.
Yeah. So for now.
But now, are we going to go back and fix the real problems?
Well, the problem is the amount of discharge versus there's a couple of ways that we're getting rid of it right now. If you go around on the islands and the roads, the medians and the roads all around town, we have all these beautiful trees and stuff. They're a little bit hurt right now because of the freeze that we had, but they have really nice landscaping around town. And if you look closely, you'll see these little placard signs that say, do not drink non-potable water. That's part of the discharge from the sewer system, and it's being used to water these plants or trees or whatever. And it's not an issue with it. It's as long as you don't drink it, because as it then percolates down through the ground, it gets sterilized on its way to the aquifer. So that's not a problem. We actually have leach fields in Palm Coast. There's one off Utility Drive that's just this massive field area with these like big giant sprinklers in there that are blowing this non-potable water out across these fields, and it's absorbed into the grass and everything, absorbs the nitrates and nitrogens that are in it, and then it percolates down. And that's perfectly acceptable, and I've been doing it that way for, centuries. However, pumping it straight down into the aquifer or into the area below the aquifer, that's just stupid.
Well, I think Palm Coast needs to demand that this stuff gets fixed. And I think that whoever leads the charge on the county commissioner side, could actually take over this and actually lead the charge. I think they would get kudos and go a lot further with the general public if they actually lead the charge to fix the problems.
Well, one of the big problems
instead of sit back and kind of just let it all go and we're going to keep doing this and then
that's
complain.
what they, so Palm Coast is 50 years old. And one of the big problems, 50? No, not 50, 25 years old. One, yeah.
We're doubling it up today.
Aged it, yeah. We'll be lucky to make 50. But anyway, but the issue is that can has been kicked down the road for 25 years, knowing what the goal was for the population. So Palm Coast originally was set up, I believe the number was 270,000 was the initial population. But the infrastructure that was used back in the late 60s and 70s, in the early 70s, to build the infrastructure is an outdated system with clay pipes and things like that. So it can't handle today. It cannot handle what it was supposedly originally designed for way back then. The problem is we kicked the can down the road so many times that we're out of road. And the money to fix it, including fixing the road, is beyond anything that we can afford. And the state has tightened its belt with the appropriation money, so they're not handing out the money like they were in the past to fix these things. And a couple of years ago, when we actually went for the money, instead of taking the appropriations and having them dedicated towards fixing the infrastructure, it was dedicated towards making a loop road out for the westward expansion. And, so now we're going to expand more without fixing the problem that we already have.
Why do I have a feeling this is like banging your head onto a sliding glass door and it's just going to get kicked the can even further down the road?
Well, the problem is that we're out of road.
Yeah. We're at a dead end right now.
Yeah. There is no kicking anymore. It has to be fixed. And
maybe you should lead the charge as a resident of Palm Coast, and you're very familiar with the water system here and the shoddy.
Ain't gonna happen. I already stuck my neck up and put my head on the chopping block. It's somebody else's turn. But there is some interesting stuff.
Maybe Teresa wants to lead the charge.
There you
I
go.
don't know. That would be
good. Challenge.
Yeah.
But there's a real estate agent. I'm not going to mention her name. A good lady that had mentioned, because she ran for office as well, had mentioned that 3 big commercial companies that she had talked to and were settling into having them come into Palm
Oh, I
Coast
remember
we
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
we desperately need economic development. They couldn't come in because they could not be guaranteed that they could be connected to
Yep.
the system, so they didn't come in. And this was a couple of years ago. So if we're at that level where there are companies that would like to come in but can't come in because they can't be guaranteed of connecting to the water system, then we've already gone beyond the end of the road, and we need to back up and fix it. I don't know how, but it needs to be done.
Well, next week we're going to dive deep into the school board. The school board elections are heating up for this year. Primary elections are August 18th, and the general elections are November 3rd. We're going to go over who's in your district, who's running against each other. Apparently, some ex-board members are now circling back, so we'll talk about that. We're also going to dive deep into safety school issues and lack of it, talk about FPC's high school and some of the other schools across our district with the gun law. We've seen the headlines, about guns in school, lockdowns and threats, kids arrested for weapons and bomb scares recently. So as the board, they had their annual safety assessment a while ago, and they wanted to install more cameras, mirrors, vehicle barriers, weapon detectors. But how much of that's actually been done? I know we're talking about weapon detectors, I think, would be huge in our high schools. I know several schools in Volusia County and St. Johns County have them. I don't understand, especially with the amount of threats that we've had lately, why we don't have them in our schools yet. Those are all good questions, though, I think, Alan, that maybe parents would like answers for, so and they know their schools are safe and their equipment's up to date.
Yes, and before we close out, and we're just about to, I'd like to make the offer I made in the last local show, and that is, if you're on the school board, we're going to talk about this, so why don't you come in and explain it? So
that would be awesome. Or have some of the candidates that are running. That would be awesome to have them on and talk about.
Yeah, if you're a candidate, come on in.
The last thing we're going to talk about, we're going to have the weightlifting team here next week at the end of spring break, towards the end of spring break. We're going to have some of the national contenders.
Our local kids that are national contenders.
Yes, from a local high school. And FPC's boys weightlifting won King of the Platform, their Leesburg Invitational last Friday. I got the last names correct now, so I can say them. Weight class 119, Anthony Giacobbe. Weight class 129, Cody Strouser. Weight class 139, Alex Hun. Weight class 169, Jason Fadum, and Unlimited, Matthew McFall. All of them won golds at the King of the Platform. And it was so cool, Alan. I think it's funny because you know how everyone's so anti the Kings lately. Right. They gave my son a crown. They gave him this gold medal. They gave him the robe and everything. And he's standing there with all these kids. And it's just so awesome to see that every once in a while. You need some good news. And sure. We'll do some spotlights in the next few weeks talking about the track team and spring football coming up and things like that. So looking forward to some good local shows.
Yeah, it doesn't all have to be negative.
No, but this water thing has been a long time coming here.
Oh, the water thing is.
And to think about
ridiculous.
Drinking reused sewer toilet water, like I find that just so disgusting. I don't know about anybody else.
Side note, that's what the astronauts do.
No, we don't. No, we're not astronauts here. We're normal people.
I know. I'm just saying.
We're not volunteering to go into space here.
I'm just saying the technology exists. The problem is that they have a closed system, and pumping it into the aquifer is far from a closed system.
Without a filter, I would never drink in Palm Coast water anyways. You know how many times it come out yellow or that like deep chlorine smell too? You're like, oh man, I can't imagine if I ran a test on that, what actually is in that water.
I've done it, and I drink bottled water.
Well, everybody, have a great night, and we'll see you next week in the Ruckus Room.